Hello, this is Jasmine, aka Gladiatorinsweats, and I just wanted to share a little bit of something that I had been thinking about. And I guess I just want to share it while it was on the, tip of my mind, I guess. And um, I've said this in so many words, many times, and there's just many different, phrases and ways which we can think of putting this. And so I just want to, I guess, offer another way. And I guess what am I talking about? Um, and just thinking about how life can be, hard, and how things can be so difficult, how, and not even just in such a very, general context, but even when we're thinking about maybe a very particular sort of situation or circumstance or issue that we're really trying to work through, even if we're consciously really working through it and we're really at the tip of, feeling we're breaking through, but especially more so when we're just struggling to try and, even get our grips to what is, really taking place, before us. I was just thinking of something that happens all the time with my boyfriend, and he plays plenty of video games and loves video games, and so what I observe all the time is that he will put things on the most difficult, the most difficult, whatever they call it, difficulty of the game, and so there'll be times where like he's doing fine, but like there'll be times where it's so bad, where he's totally not doing well, and he's, repetitively, repetitively not doing well, and so there'll be times I'll ask him just like, is that on the most difficult, level? And he'll say yes, and I'm just like, why are you doing that? I'll be sitting here just like, why would you do that to yourself? And not just in a very harsh manner, but even just from my perspective, like when I indulge in games, it's really purely for the fun of it. I mean, I enjoy a little bit of difficulty, but I don't want it to be too hard. I would like it to be, enough to where I can actually enjoy it. And so, I digress. It just brought me to asking him, from my perspective, why are you doing that? Like, that just seems like so, nonsensical. And, of course, all of this to be a long way of saying, to him, he said, it's more fun. I like to play my games this way. And so maybe it seems trivial to put it that way, but I guess I always relate a lot of things to video games because I really see things in that sort of way of not even in a trivial way, but because games are actually really it's art. It's well crafted art to create not just a storyline, but to create the mechanics behind it and all of the what if scenarios. Like anyone that even is a programmer understands like the beauty that has to go behind putting together the program, behind the scenes. And so that's kind of the way that I tend to view things, is kind of with that sort of analytical mind, but it's still beautiful, it's still very creative to me. And so that's, I guess, the way I've been seeing things, and really trying to convey things in that way, and how things can be really difficult, or how it can seem like, especially the things that we know very much so that we need to let go of, or it's a pattern that we're really trying to disrupt. I am starting to really grow not necessarily just a fondness, but like an understanding of like how the patterns that are most difficult are the ones that we should tend to not necessarily tend to, but really bring awareness to, because that's also another thing I'm recognizing, is that the swiftness and the quickness to try and correct something, like it's not so much of a need to correct anything, a need to heal something. There's just a lot of having to unpack, even like when you do come into the, quote unquote new age community, of how things can be phrased, and really, at least for me, starting to see how it helps the mind create even more, like, not even necessarily more games, but even something I had wrote about last summer. And I think I talked about it in a video back then, but about how it feels that we we jump out of one box just to put ourselves in another box, when it comes to a lot of like ideologies. And it people won't really see it that way or even say so. I feel like even when we do start to like cognize how true that can be, how dogmatic we can like fall into things in a certain way, also. So I guess it just is really starting to really ultimately open my mind up to this understanding of like, um, that whole understanding of the difficulty of the game. And then I'm also understanding like the whole other side of the layer of even how difficult it is, where maybe the difficulty is recognizing how much that we are doing, and really even just so bringing our awareness to the things that we're doing. And again, I always just come back to these questions of of like, why am I doing that sometimes? And it doesn't necessarily have to have like a real true like answer. Sometimes for me it feels very rhetorical, and it's really just like a placeholder to really bring my mind to, or not necessarily my mind, but bring my awareness to my mind, of how I'm processing things, of how I'm actually getting caught in the loop of just the daily activity of being a human being here. So yeah, I don't know. I just been thinking a lot about things, and a lot about how things are really so topsy turvy in so many different ways. I'll also talk a little bit about how I've been reading a little bit about Capricorn. I mean, I've just been reading some stuff about astrology and stuff, as I normally do. I just love to read and research and stuff like that. And so I'm just refresh, not necessarily to refresh my mind, but in really thinking more about Capricorn, and the idea that we're thinking a lot about this energy, not just being brought up because we're thinking about it, but the in astrology, the South Node being Capricorn, Pluto, and Saturn, all of these essences of things need to be uprooted in order to be, transformed, transmuted, if need be. And so, in that whole construct, I'm sitting here and thinking a lot about this idea of, Capricorn being, for a lot of people, I mean, not just because of the tarot card of the representation of the devil, but all of these sorts of negative connotations, or not just negative, but just connotations in general of, of power, of structure, but not just that, but even the idea of the powers that be, even going so far as calling evil forces, Satan, all these different kinds of ideas that do come to mind, or to some people's mind when we think about Capricorn. And I was just thinking about the whole context of it being also a scapegoat for us in a sort of way, where we have something we can point to and say, well, look, that person or that thing or this situation or that circumstance, it is why XYZ. You know what I mean? And it's not even to be in a feeling of pointing fingers, because I feel that that's usually just what triggers us into not wanting to conceive things of that way, and really considering how much we may attach our story to our wounds, and how much we are actually processing what's taking place, we kind of want to like, or I don't even want to say like in a very general way, because I feel like there's just so many different ways in which, again, all falling back into the concept of, coping mechanisms, and really getting to the underlying word there of it being a coping mechanism, not really a way of actually feeling, of actually um, being able to confront and or transcend, whatever is going on. It's really a way to deal with it, to kind of go along with it, or to put it off as much as possible in those sorts of ways. And so I've just been looking at the ways in which I've been seeing that in my own life, I guess, and really, really looking at the things that I may have perceived as the devils and demons in my life, and really seeing how I created those pictures or those sort of caricatures because, of the distortions that I was viewing them through, the filters that maybe I picked up from the collective or maybe from my own personal experiences of, certain feelings or certain things that may have, happened through my life. So, yeah, I just been thinking about a lot of things, a lot about victimhood, and a lot about, it's not even just about victimhood, but all of it coming full circle into empowerment, because I don't want to, it's not even, I want to focus on empowerment. I feel it's important to acknowledge the ways in which we've felt victimized, and all of the work that has gone into, in a very personal way, talking my own personal experience that I've done through working through, my whole victimhood layers, and really starting to see it being turning it around into an empowerment energy of not just recognizing the things in my past that I'm able to see how I was empowering myself, or how I had been empowered to do certain things or make certain decisions that were, good, bad, or indifferent, whatever in my life, but brought me to this point. And also just in being able to view just in this present now, the desires or the things that I feel that I want to do, and acknowledging those reasons I come up with why I can't do them, the reasons why I feel I can't complete something, or not even complete, but I guess just bring in these sort of tangible ideas. Like meditation has been a very hard thing for me, I want to say, in the past, because it's been better, because it's taken practice, it's taken consistency to break the frigidity of doing all these other things to distract myself, or to really I just really feel like desensitize myself in a lot of ways. That's really how I'm starting to recognize a lot of the things that maybe I eat, the things maybe that I watch or listen to, or just take in my body in any sort of way, or just in my form, how everything is food in a way. So it's just been very interesting for me to see for myself on a personal layer, what it really does mean to be authentically me, and how that layer, or how that, not even just that image, but how that concept is ever changing. And maybe that's even just a part of me that I'm recognizing, is that I feel a fuller embodiment of a change, a fuller embodiment of just fluidity, I guess. So, yeah, I guess I just kind of want to end it there before this gets any, longer or too rambly, and before anyone wakes up in my home. This is pretty late or early, depending on your perspective, always. So, yeah, I just want to share some of my thoughts about a few things. And yeah, and just also that I was encouraged actually by Jordan from Truth and Blooms. I was really encouraged, and um, I felt that energy sense, and so I just really wanted to, I guess, share more of my thoughts instead of hitting record and, a lot of times recording a whole video and deciding not to post it because of nerves or feeling, like I said, I'm talking too much or whatever, because a lot of times I am talking too much. So I just feel right now, does that really matter? I guess I just want to offer my authentic opinion and voice and thoughts on things a bit more than just talking about astrology, because these are, again, the things that I like to think about and talk about all the time just in my daily life. Like, this is what I live and breathe and I think about and ruminate. And it's really just kind of letting those ruminations out vocally instead of just letting them run all wild in my mind, or processing them in all the other ways I'm learning to let them more out. So yeah, before I ramble on any further though, right? Much love as always, guys. Many blessings, and I will most likely, like I said in the most previous videos, be back for a new moon in Aquarius video. So until then, peace, guys.